Okay, and here people come. And that should be everyone that is out of the waiting room.
So we're ready to get started.
Yep.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Preservation Commission public hearing for November 10th, 2025. With us tonight so far, we have Commissioners David King, David Jack, Elton Alperin, and I'm Elizabeth Armstrong. We may have other commissioners joining us as we go along, and if we do, we'll try to point that out. We have preservation planners Rebecca Morosky and Mary Beth Slaughter with us. So the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. And I noticed as I was going through these, they're not exactly in chronological order. So the first one on the agenda is the meetings from the public hearing on October 7th, 2025. I had two small corrections. On line 73, it should read, the proposed design is very typical for churches to have on the property. And on 75, Mr. Ehrlich asked how far the sign would be. That's all I have on those minutes. Other commissioners?
I had a question about line 168, 169. I think the meaning is to match the existing windows. I'm not exactly sure what's being said there, but I think the intention is that the Muntins will match existing windows. Or
Well, they use the word mold. So how would you edit that?
I'd say something. I think I'd say something like separately been installed to installed to appear mold
To match the existing windows?
yeah, to match the existing windows, or this is not very elegant, but to that's close enough. I'd have to make a new sentence otherwise.
All right, other additions or corrections? If there are none, then I would move to accept the minutes as amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Let's vote. I vote yes. David King,
Yes.
David Jack,
Yes.
and Elton.
Yes.
All right. Those are approved as amended. Next, we go backward in time. Oh, wait, no, forward in time. I have these out of order. Next is the minutes of the Walnut Street Subcommittee from October 28th. And the commissioners present were Elton, David Jack, and Brooke. Do any of you have any corrections or additions?
Not me.
I don't have anything in this one.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of October 28th, 2025 as submitted.
I'll second it.
All right. I believe the rule is that even if you were not at the subcommittee, you can still vote. So I will vote yes. David King,
I'll abstain.
David Jack,
Yes.
and Elton.
Yes.
All right, those are approved. All right, the next one is now we go back to October 2nd, 2025, and the minutes from our meeting regarding the rules and regulations. And I have no additions or corrections. Do others?
I do. I know it's a rewording, I think, in lines 42, 43. I think it would be clear if we said this. Ms. McCarthy asked commissioners if they want a process to consider applications for a lift on the grounds that the building could not be preserved. I think that's what it's saying.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Staff, were you able to notate that?
Yep, I got it.
Okay. Any other additions or corrections?
I'm good, Elizabeth.
Well, there's a tiny one on line 62. It should say commissioners. As opposed to commissioner.
Right, you are. Okay. Anything else?
Not me.
Then I would move that we accept the minutes as amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second Elizabeth.
Let's vote. I vote yes. David King,
Yes.
David Jack,
Yes.
and Elton.
Yes.
All right, great. Those are accepted. And we have one final set, which are minutes of the October 22nd, 2025 meeting, also regarding rules and regulations. Does anyone have corrections to these?
I do not. On the grounds, it was so bewildering to try to try to remember what we were discussing in reading these. I couldn't make head or tail of it. So I didn't see any obvious problems.
Yeah, well, these were some kind of technical discussions. But as I read them, I thought they represented our discussion.
Right.
Anyone else have anything?
No.
I have nothing, Elizabeth.
All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I
No.
move we accept the minutes of October 22nd.
I'll second David's motion.
All right, I vote yes. David King,
Yes.
David Jack,
Yes.
and Elton.
Yes.
Excellent. So that takes care of the minutes. Have we had anyone else join the meeting yet? I don't see.
Nope, Brooke has not joined.
Okay. So next is public comment on matters not on the agenda. So members of the public, if you're here to comment on a specific case, please wait till we reach that case in the public hearing. But if you have other comments that address matters not on the agenda, this would be the time for that. And Rebecca, can you instruct people on how to be recognized?
Sure. If you would like to address the commission, this goes for this public comment period and the individual public comment periods for each of the cases. There should be a heart-shaped react button at the bottom of your Zoom bar, and you can click on that, and within that there's a raise the hand function, and once you raise your hand we will call on you in the order in which hands are raised. If you are having trouble navigating to the raise hand function, you can also send a message in the chat and I will read that or recognize you that way. Or sometimes people can put their video on and physically raise their hand. That also works if you are struggling with any of the other Zoom features.
All right, are we seeing anyone?
I am not seeing any hands at this time. Give people a couple seconds. And I don't have any messages in the chat either. Okay, no hands,
Right,
physical or virtual.
in that case, we'll move on to the public hearing regarding LHD cases. And the first matter is to open the public hearing for 36 Francis Street, which is located in the Lawrence Local Historic District. And Rebecca, is this your case?
Yes, it is. And I'm going to pull up my screen right now. Okay. As Elizabeth mentioned, this case is at 36 Francis Street in the Lawrence Local Historic District. Okay. Oh, great. I can't slide my screen all the way over. There we go. Okay. The home at 36 Francis Street was constructed in 1889. The original owner, William W. Potts of 287 Kent Street, was a shoe manufacturer. The house is a Queen Anne style with many typical architectural features, including conical roof on a corner bay and a complex roofline. The home was designed by George Rand and Bertram Taylor, who were known for producing stylish residential designs for the middle class in Brookline, Newton, and Winchester. This structure was built by Potts to be used as a two-family rental unit. By 1921, the structure was owned by Simmons College, which used it as a boarding house. The house was sided in aluminum in the 1970s, and that was removed in 1995. For the proposed alterations, the applicant is proposing to install two mini split units. One unit is proposed to be located on the Francis Street elevation between the turret and the side of the house, and the second unit is proposed at the rear of the property below the existing deck. There will be line set run for both units on the exterior of the building, and it will be painted to match the exterior color of the house. The unit proposed at the front may be screened, but will likely be highly visible. It will sit parallel to the clapboard portion of the house and will be mounted on a snow stand. The line set will only be run up the clapboard a few feet and will be tucked close to where the intersecting portions of the house meet and would likely be unobtrusive. The unit proposed at the rear will be located below the existing deck and will be screened by the existing lattice below the deck. The line set will partially be run on the interior, but will have a segment that runs across the second-story elevation on the Harrison Street side, and it will then turn down by the downspout to enter into the basement. And again, the line set covers will be painted to match the exterior of the house. And I have a couple slides. Here's a photo of the front elevation of the house along with the assessor's map. Here I have a photo of the proposed mini split unit and line set run on the Francis Street elevation. And here is the proposal for the Harrison Street elevation. Excuse me. And then this last slide shows an example of the potential screening and how the line set covers will be painted to match the exterior of the house. This is actually on the neighboring, I believe it's 34 Francis, so the second family of this two-family home. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Rebecca. Are the applicants here? Would they like to speak?
Yes, I believe I saw them. If you would like to unmute yourselves and address the commission, you may go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
My name is George Steiny, and I'm the resident of 36 Francis Street. All I would like to say is I thought the presentation was representative of what we hope to do. We've been very careful to conceal as much equipment as we possibly can, and we've done everything we can to minimize the amount of tubing that would be required on the exterior of the house. The work is essentially almost obligatory. We almost died last summer. The only alternative is air conditioners, which would run about 10 to air condition the house, and that's not very energy efficient. nor very efficient inside. We're trying to keep to the historical fabric of the neighborhood, which we think is very important, and at the same time be able to live in the house. That's pretty much all I have to say. I think it's a pretty good program, but anyway, it's up to you guys to think about it.
All right, thank you, sir. Any members of the public who would like to address this case?
Again, just a reminder, you can raise your hand and we will call on you. And Elizabeth, I did just want to note that Brooke has arrived, so she's here.
Okay, that's Commissioner Brooke Richards.
Hi, sorry for.
Hi, Brooke. All right,
Um,
members of the public?
I am not seeing any hands raised at this time.
All right, in that case, commissioners, this is a corner lot and very exposed on both Francis Street and Harrison Street. So commissioners, what thoughts do you have?
I mean, I'm wondering why the condenser that is currently proposed between the tower and the porch or the enclosed porch might not go under the other porch. I mean, I think it's great that you're putting one condenser under the porch at the back of the house, but couldn't the other condenser go under the porch at the front of the house?
David, do you want to answer that?
I believe this is
The
the
contractor as well.
Yeah, the contractor.
Hello?
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Hello. So it's really the issue of the fact that the condensers would be quite close to one another, and there are clearance codes that you need to have between the condensers. Otherwise, they kind of like recirculate heat with one another. That was my major concern with trying to get the other one jammed under the porch, is that the units wouldn't have enough room to function, really as they should to the manufacturer's specs.
But I'm asking, if I understand it right, tell me if I'm wrong. You're proposing that one of the condensers be under the rear porch. That is
Yeah.
That's the photograph. I was asking whether the other condenser could be under the side porch. Is it
I think there's only one porch that we were talking about, and that's located in the rear of the property, not on either side of the corner lot. Well, I guess that would be Harrison's side, right, George?
Right. Harrison
Yeah.
Street
Is
porch,
it-
I think there's enough space underneath it to do it without excavation.
Well, maybe, but it's worth investigating. It looks like more than 3 feet. I don't know. I mean, that would be for your guy,
Well, then we'd have to
You're-
run the piping, the piping might be more conspicuous if we run it under the front porch than if we put the mechanical unit where it is behind the bushes and probably not being able to be seen.
Yeah, because it's going to be a single fan unit on that side, whereas the other unit, the larger, is going to be a double fan unit on the porch side. And dimensionally wise, what I was trying to explain earlier is I don't think I have enough physical space there to put each unit there side by side.
Yeah, but David, that's not what he's asking. He's asking, can we put it under the front porch, which is the porch leading to the front door?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course it would need some clearance, but I don't know. I mean, it's the porch is fairly high and about as high as the one in the back, I think. Where
So what do we do? We run the tubing up through the porch and then around the turret?
well, I assume you go.
And then
I
in the
would.
bedroom?
I don't know where it's going, but I assume it goes.
It's
into
going
the- into the
bedroom in
base-
front of the house. So we'd have to get the piping from under the front porch,
Yeah, like the
down the
basement,
turret.
like the basement,
No,
into the base, into
going
the
through the basement,
basement.
not a particularly good idea because we have all sorts of other utilities there. We have the furnace there, and we have a very large hot water tank.
But that sounds like an ideal place to have additional utilities.
Yeah, but
Actually,
you aren't there to see how to run the piping.
no, I mean, that's not what we do, but that's for your technician to figure out, really. It's a pipe.
It seems like a hell of a lot of work to hide something that's not going to be visible.
Well, I think it will be visible. I mean,
Well, if you walk up and peek behind the bushes, you'll be able to see it, sure.
we're not actually allowed to think of bushes as a screen.
Or would you like us to put a wooden screen up?
Well, then you'll see the screen. I mean, in other words, if it's hidden if it's possible to hide it under the porch, then it really is hidden. If you're putting it out in front, if you're putting it on the front elevation facing the street, whether or not it's hidden to a large extent or less by bushes, it's still facing the street on the front elevation. We usually go out of our way to try not to put condensers on the front elevation of a house. I mean,
Well, I have two front elevations, which is a bit of a problem, and that was pointed out to me by Rebecca.
yeah, true.
So
But-
I have double the problem that you normally have.
Yeah. The question is there a solution?
Yeah, I think we presented a very adequate one that won't be intrusive in the neighborhood. It hasn't elicited any comments. It's keeping to the architectural fabric of the historical area.
Well,
I think Eldon has a point, and if the hedge is gone, then, you know, if someone's not taking care of the hedge as you have, or those bushes, then the unit will be very visible in the front, and that's basically why we ask that you don't put it in front. And I think, you know, the commission appreciates that you are trying to preserve the house and trying to preserve the look of the house, because it's a significant, a beautiful house. I think you're just asking to see if there might be a better way of doing this.
I have a question. The one that we're discussing right now, I just want to make sure I understand, is the picture that's behind screen that looks like lattice work, right?
No,
No, I think we're discussing the one that would be in the front, where there's the tower and the unit would go to the left of the tower and the line set would go up in that little niche. Maybe you want to show the slide again, Rebecca, show the two situations.
Here's that front Francis Street elevation with the proposed unit. And then this is the proposed unit on the Harrison Street / rear elevation.
Just one comment I have, if it were to proceed, if it were to proceed in the way that you're proposing it with this sort of lattice screen, in my opinion, the lattice doesn't seem to be doing much for it. It
we're
doesn't
not
hide
gonna,
it.
we aren't proposing a lattice scheme. We're proposing landscaping.
Okay, there's no
Proposing
lattice.
putting the mechanical device in the as far back in the seam as we possibly can between the turret and the what we call the playroom. So if you
Okay.
look at the front of the house, there's a rectangular space
Yep.
that butts the turret. And there's a seam in the back which now has a downspout, and all we have to do is go halfway up the downspout and into the playroom, and then into the living room to service the mini split unit. If we go through the basement, we're going to have to run. I'm just thinking how we'd have to do it. We're going to have to run. We have to run a line halfway through the house, through the basement,
George, if I
Into
could,
the-
I think the problem that we're gonna run into there, as I've looked at your house many times, is that that's all, that whole fieldstone foundation, well, that whole stone, and your deck, like your front porch, doesn't come out like at the soffit there. It's a little below, so it's gonna. I mean,
Yeah, the next door.
outside of having like a coring company core through the foundation, I don't really see a way to do it unless you came out like above where you're below your front door and then came down and went under. But that seems like it'd be a little gimmicky.
Well, it would certainly take some, forgive me, screwing around to get it, to get it where we want it to go.
Can you show the Harrison facade again? I just think in both of these cases, they need more study. And I think this one especially, that a line set that goes up along the building and wraps around the bay really compromises the facade. And I think, you know, everyone understands that you need the units and you need them for your and I just think there might be a better solution than this.
Well, how would you suggest we run the line sets, as you call them? We're already, we're following the line of the downspout on the vertical. And we need to get both sides of the three windows on the three large windows. We need to go through the closet and the main bedroom.
Well, can I ask, that line that we're looking at, it seems to come out just above the foundation? Is that true through the framing of the floor?
Well,
That's true.
Is it coming, this is coming from the condenser that's under the porch at the back, right?
That's correct.
Right, so you're in the basement already. I guess one of the questions, and we of course don't know your basement, but one of the obvious questions is, can you run further in the basement and come up the left side of the bay rather than?
It doesn't help. The line would still have to go to the right side again. So either you see the vertical on the left side or you see the vertical on the right side.
Well, I think David's question was question, can you avoid going across the bay, outside the bay? In other words, if you could get to the left side of the bay in the basement and come up there vertically, you'd get to where you want to go, and looks like it would
No,
be.
that's not the case. We also need to go to the right side of those three windows. We need one in the
there's
bedroom,
three
and we need one
units.
in the front bedroom. So that horizontal line is servicing two mini split units, one in the master bedroom and one in the large middle bedroom.
Mhm.
So whether the vertical is where it is or on the other side is kind of doesn't really accomplish much. It's going to be equally as visible. In
Well,
one case, it'll just follow the existing downspout, and the other case would be to try to put it in between the porch and the leftmost window on the first floor.
so you're saying it's coming up vertically, then it's going into one bedroom, and then
Right.
it's traveling across the bay and going into another bedroom?
That's exactly right. So it doesn't help to the vertical. Whether they put it on the right side or the left side, the vertical is going to still be there, and the horizontal is kind of a fixed.
What if you had two verticals?
What's the point of two verticals?
Well, you need to go to both places, right? You need to go to a place on the right side and a place.
Why would two verticals look better than having the horizontal?
Well, one is where it already would be, and the other one would be hidden in that joint between the porch, the front porch, and the bay, as opposed to running across the bay where it will be visible.
It's not exactly correct because these are interior closets that these are coming out. That's how I achieved getting them out so long. I put the head units above the closets or them. That way I can get into the closets to come out as low as I possibly can and follow that contour of the house and then go down into the basement on the other side because I also need to get a branch box in the basement as well, right? So my branch box can go there through the sill. And then your point about getting the other unit underneath that front porch there, one, I don't know if I'll have the height. And two, I don't see how you could do that without coring through the foundation or go through the sill and then come down with the line set and go through the porch above it that way. I've spent a lot of time looking at it. It's kind of hard to explain because it's a very complicated, beautiful house. But I put a lot of time into trying to think of how I can do this the least intrusive possible way, and this is what I came up with.
I think that may be okay, but this is not, I mean, this is a bunch of green lines on the facade. And so it's hard to really know exactly what it's going to look like.
Well, if you look at the back of the house,
I think, you know, this isn't like the elevations of the building and with the actual line set drawn in. So we don't know. I mean, was this the house where we worked on the other side, where there were line sets all over the other side, and the commissioner worked with them to find a better solution? Because line sets are often huge. They're like 6-foot conduits running along the side of a building. So I appreciate that the contractor has, you know, made an effort to make it look good, but I don't think the case is really clear to people
well,
who are
short of
looking
putting the
at
line
it.
sets in, how would you get to see how they look?
You draw a scale drawing on the elevation.
So
And
you
you
want us
show
to
where
go
all the
to
units are,
a
you
draftsman
show
and
what's
have them
coming out.
draw the house and then draw in the line sets?
We normally require scale drawings of what you're doing to the house. Yeah.
If you look at the rear of the house, you see a downspout. That's what the line set would look like. Just to the right of the porch.
All right, I'm gonna ask, I appreciate Mr. Stymie and David from Central Cooling. We appreciate your expertise and your comments. I'm gonna ask that we just take this among the commissioners, so please don't interrupt us for a few minutes so we can debate among ourselves. So where are we with this? I've heard people say that they think this case warrants further study, further drawings. Where do people stand?
I think the solution, well, correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca, but I think, isn't this the same house that had line set? So this house on the other side had line sets going all over the place in a first application. And I think Peter Kleiner worked with them and they came out with a solution where they were able to have the units and the line sets were not obtrusive. And I think, you know, in this case, it's not entirely clear what the solution is. I think it would merit further study with someone from the commission, something like an empowered subcommittee, to allow the job to move forward, or not an empowered subcommittee to allow the job to move forward quickly and then just solve it, because it shouldn't be that difficult, but I don't think it's entirely clear exactly everything that's going on.
Elton?
I mean, I'm inclined to ask if the contractor could take another shot at it, even considering coring through the foundation. I mean, this is not unknown. It's done a lot for many reasons. That's just addressing the question of the condenser at the front. I don't know if it would work. He'd have to measure the height under the porch. Myself personally, I don't feel I'm qualified to stand in and give a lot of criticism to an HVAC contractor. But usually I think usually, to be frank, it boils down to a question of how much money will be spent running the lines an alternative way. Sometimes ways can be made on the interior of a house, but it's more expensive. You have to open things up. You might have to core a foundation. There's usually this kind of trade-off between aesthetics and cost. So I think we're giving a little pushback, especially on the idea of putting a condenser at the very front of the house.
I think there's also concern about that horizontal wrapping the line set around the bay.
Yeah,
I think that's also a concern. Dave, do you have any comments?
I don't, Elizabeth.
How about you, Brooke?
I agree that the horizontal at least isn't coming across in the drawing in the way that if it's supposed to look better, it's not quite coming across that way in this image. So maybe a drawing would help at the very least. That's what I
So are we, it's been raised to have a subcommittee, perhaps a subcommittee of one who could do a site visit. What do people think of that versus, I guess the other alternative would be to see if the applicant would like a continuation to come back to us with other proposed solutions?
I think a subcommittee of 3 would be better, or because the problems are tricky, and the solution is going to be a little bit take some thought, but or we could assign Peter Kleiner to it again. He did a good job on the other side. And that's been
Amen.
done.
And
Well,
that would be an empowered subcommittee?
yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do we have consensus on offering that to the applicant? And is,
Yes.
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 all right. So, back to you, Mr. Stymie, and to, your contractor. The commission would like to see you take another look at this and look at other solutions. We would be willing to work with you with an empowered subcommittee, which means that 3 members of the commission would meet with you. You would not have to come back to a public hearing again. And the subcommittee would be empowered to, once a solution had been reached, would be empowered to give you the go-ahead. And so you would not need to come back to a further public hearing. We offer this to you. It can only be done with your consent. So is that a process you'd be interested in engaging in?
May I speak now?
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt your deliberations. When would this subcommittee be able to visit our house?
I mean, that would have to be arranged.
When could that be arranged and how quickly could it be arranged?
Well, it would likely be a speedier process than going through.
Well,
more-
you have to give me some idea of how long this is going to take. We're into the winter. We need to have these mini splits in before the end of the year. There is the issue of cost that was brought up. We're already approaching $100,000 in the work that we've contracted to do. We also need to make the house livable. If you would like to join us this summer without the mini splits, you're welcome to come in, but I suggest you bring your own air conditioning. There are a number of things that have to be done here. I'm very happy to have a three-person subcommittee come and look at the basement and to look at where we can put the piping. It's always to our advantage to do it in a better way, and I'm more than happy to do this. But we can't just wait months and months to have it done. We
Oh,
need to have
no.
it done in a expeditious sort of way.
I think we'd all try to meet as soon as possible.
Yeah,
We
well, how
ju-
about
we-
how about this week?
We don't know each other's schedules, so we'd have to look at each other's schedules. That have to be coordinated.
Well, there's mine, there's David's, that's 5 people. I'm not trying to be difficult about this, but there are a number of issues besides the aesthetics of the building that need to be addressed. The livability of the building needs to be addressed. If we were to just move out, it would become derelict. That would be great. We can put in air conditions. That's going to be more unsightly than anything we do with respect to the mini splits. We need to do it, or we hope to do it by the end of the year. I don't think I'm asking very much with respect to having it done in a timely sort of way.
No, I don't think anyone's saying you are. I was just saying, we can't on the spot right now, this minute, say exactly which day we can
So
do it.
who's going to arrange this so that I can get in contact with them?
I'll be arranging it.
And can you do it in an expeditious sort of way?
Yes, I will certainly work with the commission to my best of my ability to select a time that works for everyone involved.
Well, I'd certainly rather do that than come back to you guys again.
All right, then with your agreement, we'll move forward with an empowered
Do you
subcommittee.
know who the subcommittee is going to be?
We need to have this conversation.
Do you do that in camera or do you do that publicly?
Yep,
We do
if
it.
you would let her finish her sentence, then they'll get to the subcommittee assignment as soon as she was done.
Okay.
All right, any volunteers for the subcommittee? Elton,
I'll do it.
David,
I'll volunteer, Elizabeth. This is Dave Jack.
thank you, Dave. So you'll have Elton and David, who are both architects, and you'll have Dave Jack, who is an experienced designer and draftsman.
I might add, I'm a professor of architecture at MIT. So there'll be 4 of us.
Great.
All right, sounds like a plan. Good luck.
A vote.
I
Elizabeth,
don't think all right, let's just go ahead and vote.
vote for the empowered subcommittee.
Okay. I will make a motion to move forward with an empowered subcommittee, the members having already been identified. Do I have a second?
I'll second Elizabeth.
All right, let's vote. I vote yes. David King,
Yes.
Dave Jack,
Yes.
Elton,
Yes.
and Brooke.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. And good luck on your project.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is another LHD case. It's 295 Reservoir Road in the Chestnut Hill LHD, and that's Mary Beth's case.
Hello, let me work on sharing my screen. Gosh. Go away. All right, are y'all able to see my slideshow?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so again, this is 295 Reservoir Road. We are in the Chestnut Hill Historic District. The residence at 295 Reservoir Road was built in 1926 for Francis V. Carey. The building permit neglected to list the architect or builder for the project, unfortunately. The 1930 US Census lists Carey as a furniture dealer, and he owned furniture stores in South Boston and Brighton. In 1959, another building permit was filed on behalf of the homeowner W. Lever to construct a one-story rear addition. 295 Reservoir Road was included in the 2005 Chestnut Hill Historic District and is listed among the district's examples of the Tudor Revival style. The single-family home is on a wooded and picturesquely landscaped lot. It is an example of the uncommon symmetrical paired gable form, with a front facade dominated by two front-facing gables of painted brick and a steeply pitched slate roof with a central shed dormer. There are tall, grouped, multi-pane painted wood windows throughout the residence that also feature a characteristically thick trim and painted wood in between different window sashes. They also have painted brick sills and lintels. The 1959 addition is on the northwest side of the rear elevation. It features a concrete block foundation. It is of wood construction with painted cedar shingle siding and has a flat asphalt roof. The applicant is proposing to replace one set of grouped windows on the side elevation of the main house and to convert an opening on the 1959 addition from a doorway to a window. The existing windows are double hung painted wood, 6/6 pane, true divided light, and feature the painted wood thick trim. The proposed replacement windows are Marvin Wood Ultimate 6/6 double hung with a 5/8 inch putty simulated divided light. There are no planned changes to the existing masonry opening or the brick sills or lintel. The existing doorway of the 1959 addition is 32 by 78 inches total opening. The proposed window to infill it will decrease that size to 34 5/8 by 37.5 inches. And it will also include the same Marvin Wood 6/6 double hung painted wood window with the simulated divided light muntins. They will include a 2-inch historic sill to match the existing window openings on the main house. And it will also be in line with the height of the neighboring windows on the main house. The remainder of the opening will be infilled with plywood with a weather barrier and exterior cladding of painted wood shingle to match the existing sheathing in appearance and thickness. While the proposed work to 295 Reservoir Road is towards the rear of the home, there is moderate public visibility of the window and door in question from the public right-of-way. Any alterations to the 1959 addition should be considered in the context that it was not part of the original construction of the house. The proposed new windows are wood, double hung, and the same pane configuration as the existing. However, they are simulated divided light, and the renderings provided do change the relationship of window to that painted wood thick trim that is seen on the existing windows throughout the home. The LHD guidelines state that historic wood windows are to be restored when possible, and if replaced, they should be in kind with dimensions and details such as lights, panes, and trim to match the existing. The Commission reviews windows on a case-by-case basis and therefore may approve these as appropriate replacements with justification. The conversion of the 1959 door opening to a window will decrease the overall size of that existing opening and require infill. The current plans do have some details on the infill that is planned, stating that it will be of a existing wood and thickness, but the Commission should consider if they want any more information regarding that infill. So this beginning slide here is just the tax assessor's map and the tax assessor's photo of the residence in question. This is an aerial view of that residence. As you can see, it's very wooded, very nice. This is a current photo of the front elevation. These two photos are taken both from the public right-of-way. The one on the right was taken by a preservation planner during their site visit, and the one on, the one on the left was taken by a preservation planner. The one on the right was submitted very helpfully by the applicant. This is the existing windows on the main house that are proposed to be replaced. On the left is the existing window, and on the right is the proposed window. And here we have the doorway on that addition that is proposed to be infilled with a matching window. It is the existing again on the left and proposed on the right. And the applicant also submitted these specs of those new windows, including that brick mold profile that was mentioned to align with the historic sills that are currently on the house. So that is all that I have.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Would the applicant like to address the commission?
Yes, hi, good evening, Madam Chair and members of the commission. I'm Bond Worthington. I'm the architect for the project. I can pull up the actual drawing that was submitted. Am I allowed to share my screen?
No, unfortunately, we
Oh.
can't. But if you want to try to shoot me an email really quickly, I can see if I can get it to share on my screen.
It's just the actual drawing that we submitted for the submission. I think you have screenshots of it in your presentation. It's just an 11 by 17 sketch, and it kind of puts the whole puts the side of the building all in one place. It's not essential, but I feel like it really describes the project well. We can proceed without it though. As was mentioned, these windows are on the northwest side of the house. They're approximately 70 plus feet away from the street. We are trying to match the existing quality and finish of the windows. We're proposing 6/6 double hungs. We have wood trim around the windows, no change to the brick openings for the two in the kitchen. We are mulling those windows together to provide more daylight. The whole reason this project's happening is for a kitchen renovation inside, and the windows here are in bad shape. So this is the direction we're going, trying to get more daylight into the kitchen and provide tighter openings. And then in terms of the door, would it be possible to show any of the images on the screen?
I think I may have found the drawing that you were referring
Perfect.
to.
Thank you.
Is this the one?
Yeah, this is perfect. This is great. This is great. So thank you. On the bottom
No
right
problem.
is from the GIS assessor database. It shows the side of the house. There's a 1 and a 2. The 1 is keying the door replacement that is turning into a window in the addition portion of the house. Again, we're infilling below that window with cedar shakes or shingles to match the existing siding. And item 2 is the replacement of 2 windows in the kitchen with these Marvin Wood Ultimate double hung windows, painted finish. Again, no change to the brick opening, brick lintel, brick sill, all remains, and we're planning to trim those windows out and then wrap the opening with the brick mold casing trim that matches the rest of the windows on the house. And that concludes what I would like to say about the project. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the commission regarding this case?
Not seeing any hands.
Yes, I don't have anything either in the chat or hands.
All right. Well, I realized when I made my site visits, I was looking at the wrong house. I have notes on a beautiful arts and crafts stucco house with a stone foundation. So other commissioners?
I don't think I have an issue with replacing the door with the window. And it's not an original window, so the wood window proposed seems fine in that case. The double window in the kitchen, it actually, I mean, I sympathize with wanting to mull the windows together, but that's not actually like the rest of the windows in the house, which have the big fat mullions between the windows. So I think the side elevation would actually end up looking like it's just been renovated. Not to mention, we always prefer that windows be repaired than replaced if they're the historic windows.
I agree with that. I think the window that Elton was just talking about is more significant. It's part of the original body of the house. And I think it actually looks in good condition in the pictures that we are seeing. I think the window in the back is minimally visible, and I don't have the door. I don't have a problem replacing the door with the window.
I agree with that as well.
Mr. Worthington, I wonder if we could ask you to address whether repairing the windows was considered.
We had discussed it's in general, there's potential lead issues. There's a whole process that goes along with that. Also, the driver for this was getting a bit more daylight into the space. I'm wondering if potentially a wider mull of 2 windows in that space would be an okay compromise, so that it looks closer to the original elevation.
I think, I think Elton put it well when he said, we make an effort to keep existing windows and repair existing windows in the house whenever possible. I think, we hold a lot of people to that standard, and they don't always like it, but that is the state of our rules and regulations now, and I think it makes sense.
I think we would be able to explore that option, and I need to obviously confer with the contractor and the homeowner that they would be interested in restoring them, but I think that's definitely an avenue we'd be willing to pursue.
Great.
Well, in that case, we can offer you a continuance to come back to the commission after you've explored that option. I guess we could go ahead and vote on the door if that would be helpful to you to move ahead on that item. Mr. Worthington.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Or, I mean, I think that was favorable. It's just a matter of whether it's kind of a package and we'll just wait and vote on everything when it comes back.
I understand. Is there any thank you, first of all, for the door, the ability to replace the door with a window. That's excellent. If we can commit to replacing the windows, would it be possible to have a subcommittee just to verify that we're replacing the windows instead of coming back for an entire hearing?
You mean repairing the windows?
Yes.
that could potentially be reviewed by staff.
Oh, great.
Well,
Uh,
am I not, if the windows are being repaired, why do you have to visit us at all? I mean, isn't that just part of the general job? I don't,
Yeah, I think we should approve the door, change the window. We should probably reject the window, and then if Mr. Worthington is just going to repair the window, I don't say that we have to be involved at all.
Staff would agree with that.
Yes.
All right, would someone, so first of all, is there any further discussion by other commissioners?
No, that all sounds good to me.
All right.
Hello,
someone-
hi, my name's Fran Hoy and I'm actually the homeowner. I would like to speak if I could. The reason for the window replacement was that we're trying to center the sink, and to center the sink under the window, you're just looking at a big fat mullion or whatever you're calling that thing in the middle. What if we replaced it with just one window with nothing in the middle?
I don't think we'd like the way it would look, but we're all about repairing and maintaining the historic fabric of the house.
No, I understand, but this is a window that's barely visible from the street, and it will make the aesthetic of the kitchen much, much better on the inside. My neighbors, I talked to my neighbors, I've talked to all my abutters, none of them have a problem with it. They were kind of laughing that we even had to come before the historic district for this.
I think it's actually quite visible from the street. So
It's not in the picture, it's more visible in the picture that I submitted than the one that you're.
Right.
I mean, if you made a site visit, then you know the dining room windows are different than the kitchen windows that are different than the front of the house windows. I mean,
I actually did make a site visit today, and I mean, it seems actually very much in the language of the other windows.
I agree. I think you're right that the mullion widths vary from, in fact, if that's the dining room to the right in that elevation, which has the kitchen window, those mullions seem to be narrower than the one in the kitchen was exceptionally large. But as David said, it's in the same language. It's not the same as mulling a couple of windows together with no mullion in between.
no, but we could tweak the language. I mean, if the house, has 7 doors on the first floor. We're just trying to kind of make it a little safer, a little more modern. I want the sink needs to be centered under that window, and if it is, you're just going to be looking at wood.
All right, you're showing up as Fran on the screen, so I don't mean to be too familiar, but I'm going to address you as Fran.
That's fine. Yes.
Because I don't have a last name. So thank you for telling us what your program is. And I'm going to ask you to hold your comments for a few minutes so that the commission can talk about this again, okay? And then you'll have another chance to speak. So commissioners, it seems to me that we were looking at this as, the guidelines say repair before replace. And we had no information as to why an exception should be made, why we should think about this differently. And we didn't have any information as to whether the applicant and the architect had considered repair. I'm just asking the question whether now that we know that there's a concern for the program of the design, whether that makes any difference to your consideration of this project.
I have a question about what is the distance between the two windows? Just curious how far apart they are from each other.
On the interior, it probably scales out at 7 or 8 inches.
Um, because I understand, you know, being at the sink, what's driving this right now for people that are living there. It sounds to me like they would like a clear view without the 6-inch gap between the two windows right where the sink is, which will have a pretty substantial impact on the historical nature of the outside of the house. And I guess I'm just trying to understand. It just seems to me if I envision, you know, that scenario that the sink seems like a lovely place to be in front of the two windows, but seems like is the 6 inches really gonna, you know, create like an enormous wooden block to the view outside? Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't change the exterior elevation because of the sink. The exterior composition of a significant house, and I think it is a very significant house. And maybe the sink could be moved 1 foot to the right, so it would be centered on one of those windows. I mean, I don't think the window should completely change for the sink.
Elton?
Well, I agree with David, actually. And I've spent a fair amount of time at sinks in front of windows with mullions. Usually I'm looking at the dishes, really, not out the window. I appreciate if you're doing a new house and particularly if you're doing a modern style house, you know, as much glass as you want there. But I agree with David. I wouldn't compromise the house because of the sink placement.
Um, Dave, do you want to add anything to the discussion?
We're in a local historic district where it's very clear that we prefer to repair existing window fabric. If the applicant wants an unobstructed view, I think that it's worth pursuing for the applicant to consider slightly moving the sink so that a view underneath one of the two windows can be achieved. The view lines can be achieved that way. But I like being proposed a few minutes earlier with agreeing with the changes to the door and repairing the existing windows and retaining the existing dimensions of the mullion.
All right, so I think we're reaching consensus. I did say to Fran, the homeowner, she would have an opportunity to comment again. So Fran, if you want to say something, please go ahead, and then the commission will close the public hearing and vote.
I think it sounds like you guys have already made up your mind and there's not much I can say to change it. But thank you for your time this evening.
All right, thank you. All right, do I have a motion? I'm closing the public hearing and the commission's going to vote now. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the. I'll make a motion to accept the proposal to substitute a window where the door currently is and not to permit the removal of the two existing windows of the kitchen.
I'll second the motion, Elton.
All right, we'll vote. I vote yes. David King,
Yes.
David Jack,
Yes.
Elton,
Yes.
and Brooke.
Yes.
Given that we are denying in part a certificate for appropriateness, I'm going to state that I've heard no evidence of hardship. And I think we need to vote on the matter of hardship, which would be an unusual circumstance that would merit considering this differently. So any discussion on the issue of hardship?
Not for me, Elizabeth.
All right, I'll make a motion that, well, I'll say that we've heard no evidence of special circumstances that would merit a certificate of hardship. And so that would be denied. That's my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and vote. I'll vote in favor. David King,
Yes, in favor.
David Jack,
Yes.
Elton,
Yes.
and Brooke.
Yes.
All right, thank you to the applicant and the architect. And good luck with your project. All right, next we're moving on to demolition cases, and the first case on the agenda, 54 White Place, has withdrawn and did not want to be considered this evening. The next case is 1495 Beacon Street, which is Mary Beth's case.
Hello. All right, I will share my screen. Okay, all right, and is the slide visible? All good.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we are considering the property at 1495 Beacon Street. This is in the Beacon Street National Register District. On October 1st, 2025, preservation planners made an initial determination of significance for the residents at 1495 Beacon Street. Given the information presented in the following section of the case report, the Preservation Commission must make a final determination of significance for the building. The single-family row house was constructed in 1896 by developer Peter Rice as one of 6 row houses. According to its state inventory form, it was designed by architect Edward D. Morris, who is responsible for 4 other apartment developments on Beacon Street between the years of 1897 to 1900. This complex was purchased by Bostonian George Leland by the turn of the century and had the majority of the spaces rented by 1902 to working class residents. Leland owned the property until 1923 when he sold all 6 units to investor Edward J. Ball. And by 1927, it had been further subdivided into 6 individual units. Through the 20th century, it was continued to be inhabited largely by working class residents, including a iron worker and a garment manufacturer. Most of those original 6 units, including 1495 Beacon Street, have been subdivided into multifamily housing by today. 1495 Beacon Street is the end unit of the 6-unit complex, which has been described as an eclectic Victorian with Flemish influences. The building is exposed yellow brick on the front facade with architectural details in brownstone, red brick, and green marble. The side and rear elevations are of exposed red brick. The complex sits on a stone foundation and features a flat roof with varying decorative parapets across the 6 units. 1495 Beacon Street's parapet is front gabled with a steep pitch that is topped by a pinnacle, and it contributes to the complex's Flemish influences. There are 2 red brick chimney caps on the west side elevation of the unit. The home's windows are 1/1 with exterior storm windows, and each feature a decorative stone lintel with keystone, some of which are arched. The front entrance is off-center with a heavily pedimented stone doorway. On October 1st, 2025, preservation planners found that the house at 1495 Beacon Street met the criteria for initial determination of significance under criterion B, C, and D. Additionally, the 1495 Beacon Street residence retains integrity of location, design, setting, feeling, materials, and workmanship. So again, this title slide is from the tax assessor's records, including the photograph and the map. There are a couple of aerials of the property with the star indicating the unit in question, which is again to the end unit. Here's a photograph of the front facade. And here is another one of the front facade and the side elevation with the chimney caps. And here are the tax assessor, or excuse me, the atlases of the property from 1900 and 1927. And that's all I have for 1495 Beacon Street.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Does the applicant wish to add anything to the presentation?
Not at this time. Joseph Fournier, JFF Design Architects for the client, the owners. Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the public, anyone wish to address this case?
I do not see any hands raised or anything in the chat.
All right, well, I will note that this is a National Register district, and it's a beautiful, old, distinguished building. And I would uphold the significance, the finding of significance. Other commissioners?
This is Dave Jack. I agree with Mary Beth's presentation, and I agree with you, Elizabeth. And I would find the structure significant.
Me too.
Me as well.
I would move that we find the structure significant.
I second Mr. King's motion.
All right, let's vote. I vote yes. David King?
Yes.
David Jack?
Yes.
Elton?
Yes.
And Brooke?
Yes.
All right, very expeditious.
I had, not to slow us, well, maybe to slow us down, just one question for maybe the architect may know.
I knew it.
No, did you really?
You couldn't let it go.
Maybe because you had the same question. Is that white stuff an actual conduit of some sort? Just fresh from our discussion about coolant lines?
Mary Beth, would you kindly refresh me on the photo he's referring to, please?
I mean, I think it probably has to be, but some of it looks like it was drawn on the building. I'm not sure. But it seems to go.
I don't have the benefit of the drawing.
Oh, the side photo, really. There,
yes, it looks
yeah.
like the inverter's there on the lower right-hand corner. So that's not our unit in question. We're actually the top unit. And I know that the second floor unit had gone through some renovations at some point. I think it was a number of years ago. I'm not sure the exact date.
So that's a real line of some sort. I don't,
It appears to be a condensate pipe of sorts,
yeah. Okay.
but
thank
I
you.
don't know. It's not our unit, so
Right.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll look forward to working with you on this project.
Thank you. And I understand, Madam Chair, that are we scheduled for the 9th at this particular point? Or is that something that needs to be established?
Mary Beth, do you know?
If you are ready to go, then yes, I can go ahead and put you on the December hearing.
That would be lovely. Yes, thank you.
Sure thing.
All right. So we do have some material that we do have to update our survey. They actually dimensioned the side yard setback a little incorrectly, or to the incorrect parts. We're going to update that, so we should have that by the end of this week.
All
Great.
right,
Thank
Very
you all
good.
for your time. Appreciate it.
thank you. All right, the next agenda item is 7 Cedar Road, and it's a request to lift the stay of demolition. And Rebecca, that's your case?
Sure is.
I'm going to step away.
I'll read slow, Elizabeth. Okay. So this is 7 Cedar Road, and as Elizabeth noted, this is a request to lift the stay of demolition. On August 26th, 2025, preservation planners made an initial determination of significance for the house at 7 Cedar Road. Given the information presented in the historical and architectural section of the case report, the Preservation Commission voted to uphold staff's finding of significance at the October 7th hearing. The house at 7 Cedar Road met criteria D for an initial determination of significance, and a demolition delay of 1 year was imposed. For the lift request, the applicant submitted plans for design review and asked that the commission consider lifting the stay of demolition based on these plans. The applicant is proposing a number of modifications to the property. These modifications include demolishing the existing 1.5-story attached garage and breezeway and constructing a new garage and breezeway. Additionally, they're going to construct a new 2-story addition on the left elevation, adding a portico to the front elevation, and constructing a 1-story addition at the rear. The new garage will have a front-facing gable with a shed dormer on either side and a cupola at the top. It will have brick veneer front to match the house with cedar shiplap sides and rear. The roofing material will remain slate to match the existing fabric of the house. The proposed windows throughout will be wood and will have historic profile and sill. The proposed front portico will be colonial style with a gable roof supported by columns. The new 2-story addition on the left elevation will mimic the new breezeway with a side gable roof and front-facing dormer. It also features a bay window on the first floor. This portion will also be clad in the cedar shiplap. The addition at the rear is comprised of 2 parts. One portion is a stored flat roof with a roof deck, and the other portion features a gable roof. Excuse me, and I'll go through some slides. Here we have a photo of the front elevation of the home as it currently exists, along with the assessor's map. Same photo again on its own slide. Here we have some side elevation photos of I believe the left is the garage, and on the right is the right-hand side of the house. Here's the rear elevation of the home. And then I have the plan set that was provided by the applicant, which I will click through quickly now and then can bring up later during the discussion. Here the applicant has provided us with similar styled garage proposals in the neighborhood. And a secondary slide on that. Existing photos that I just previously showed. Here we have the plot plan for the existing and proposed layouts. Elevations with the proposed at the top and existing at the bottom. We have the front elevation here, the rear elevation, the right elevation, and the left elevation, and the interior layout as well. And again, I will stop sharing for now, but I can bring those back up at any point during the discussion for the commissioners to take a closer look at. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Rebecca. Does the applicant wish to address the commission?
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair. Mike Tartamella, Patrick Ahern Architect, for the applicant at 7 Cedar. Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind sharing the plan set again that we submitted. I'd just like to walk through that and just speak a little bit to the design proposal and what we're looking to do. If you could bring up the first 2 slides with the existing property maps. As was already discussed in our previous hearings, the original house was built in 1941 and was then renovated and added to substantially sometime in the 60s, late 60s, with an addition and some interior and some exterior renovations. One of the things that we went back and looked at following the previous hearing was the character and fabric of the existing neighborhood. And here in this slide, what you're seeing is the original neighborhood as it was put together, with a lot of the homes that are shaded here have been renovated after 1943. If you could go to the next slide. This slide illustrates, based on the assessor's records, houses that were both renovated or totally constructed new since 2007. So what I think, while the neighborhood certainly has some very lovely colonials in it, I think it's become an eclectic mix of some renovated homes and some new style homes that are a little outside of the original fabric of the neighborhood. If you could go to the next slide, which is the front, yeah, that slide's perfect, actually, if you wouldn't mind keeping it there. So as it was stated, our proposal really is to maintain the hierarchy of the existing primary massing of the brick box that we see and do complementary additions and renovations to that. We're anticipating keeping the light cuts of that primary box and doing new windows with the same light cuts. The new attached carriage house with the reverse gable really breaks up the old horizontality of the original elevation, where we have a reverse gable carrying the brick through again, and it gives it a little bit more verticality from left to right. On the left side, the connector is actually really 1.5 stories. It's not a full 2 stories. We dropped the fascia and soffit lines down there to, again, reinforce the hierarchy of the main central mass. We're also proposing a new portico on the front so that the portico brings a door, which is currently recessed, forward and provides a sort of definition of entry at the front. And the additions to the exterior of the structure are really a little bit more in keeping with the mass and scale. And the addition of things like shutters and exterior coach lights, proper shutters on pins and holdbacks help to break down the solid to void of the brick and the rest of the materials. Also wanted to correct a few things regarding the materiality. It was commented that we're using shiplap board on the exterior. We're actually using cedar clapboards there. There's some shiplap, which would be more of a tight tongue and groove board, not shiplap as we know it in HGTV, but more of a board that's traditional that would be butt together. That would also have the ability to expand and contract over time to a little bit of separation. One of the things I just want to close with is that we really, when we studied the additions and renovations here, and while we're just over the demolition percentage of 57%, most of the existing house stays. A lot of the demolition that we are doing, because that number of 57% includes a lot of envelopment as well, but most of the demolition of removal of material is a lot less than that, and it's also more of the late 60s renovation. So I think what we're doing here pays a lot of homage to the initial house that was built in 1941, and I think adds to it in a way that looks like it was expanded over time. I'm happy to take questions from the commission and anything else you'd like to discuss.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to be heard regarding this case?
I am not seeing any hands up at this time.
All right, commissioners?
This is Dave. I have a question for Rebecca. just to confirm, Rebecca, that we are not in a local historic district. Is that correct?
That is correct. Not in a local historic district and not in a National Register district either.
Okay, and my second question is, do any of the proposed additions require zoning relief?
That I do not know. I'm
They
not sure.
do not.
Okay.
They do not.
thank
They're
you.
a matter of right.
Okay, thank you. Elton, you're very quiet.
I'll go if Eldon
I'm,
doesn't want to go.
yeah,
Uh, I really respect the way the architect has approached this with respect to the hierarchy of the original house, and I think it's very well thought through. I think the presentation is very well done. There are things that I might not agree with, like the cupola, but as some people have noted, it's not a historic district, and it's doesn't seem like the place for us to go digging into something like that. I think the one thing that I miss was the front door. I think is kind of elegant and understated in the original building, and I feel like the portico is kind of predictable, and maybe there could have been or could be a better solution there, but otherwise I think it's fine.
it's like exactly what I would say.
Yeah, me
Actually.
too. I was thinking, I knew you were going to say the arch door. That was
Yeah. I mean, because there may be, yeah, I certainly would not deny anything based on that, but I do like, I miss that arch. And if you want a roof and a porch, possibly you could simply do a different form. I mean, there's a lot in my neighborhood that employ arches over arches. But anyway.
Was the one thing our client was very specific about. So apologies. I think the arch is elegant myself, and the window above it, but it was one thing that was contingent on us presenting the drawings. So
I think in general, it seems to be a neighborhood that has had a lot of additions. The houses have all gotten more substantial, I think, at least a lot of them. I think it's fine, and don't want to quibble about any of it.
I agree with everything that's been said. Sounds like we have a consensus. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, Elizabeth. My motion is that the proposal be approved as submitted.
And I will second that. Let's vote. I vote yes. David King,
You're muted, David. Sorry. So I didn't get credit for your second.
Yes.
David Jack,
Yes.
Elton,
Yes.
and Brooke.
yes.
All right.
thank you.
Very well be off with you, and good luck with your project.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.
And I'll be in touch with your approvals.
Thank you.
And our last house, demo case is 11 Naples Road, which I believe is Mary Beth's case.
It is indeed. All right. 11 Naples Road, which, to switch gears back, this is a determination of significance again. This building is not in a local historic district or a National Register district. On October 8th, 2025, preservation planners made an initial determination of significance for the house at 11 Naples Road. Given the information presented in the following section of the case report, the Preservation Commission must make a final determination of significance for the building. The residence at 11 Naples Road was constructed in 1895 for developer D.H. McKay. Samuel J. Brown is listed as the architect on the building permit, with D.H. McKay and Home Building Company serving as its builders. According to the Form B inventory form filed with the Massachusetts Historical Commission, the home was purchased by Abby M. Heed by 1900. A rear garage was added to the property in 1914, and building permit files reveal that the home served as a lodging house in the late 1930s. In 1954, it was altered from a one-family home to a two-family home. And then later in 1959 is the time at which the front porch was altered and enclosed. David H. McKay was a major developer in North Brookline during the 1890s. McKay moved to Brookline from New Brunswick in 1846 and remained a resident until his death in 1898. He was responsible for the late 19th century housing developments on the historic Coolidge Farm property, bisected by Harvard Street, including this circa 1895 11 Naples Road. At the time of his death, this area was colloquially referred to as McKayville. McKay was responsible for 5 homes also located on Naples Road that are listed in the neighboring 2004 Grapham McKay Local Historic District. These homes were designed by architects Charles E. Park or John A. Hasty, and they are all variations of the Colonial Revival style. The 2.5-story 11 Naples Road is a late 19th century example of the Colonial Revival style, with a painted stone foundation, a wood frame with painted wood shingle sheathing, and a hipped asphalt roof. The front facade lower floor is dominated by the mid-century front porch enclosure, but one of the historic curved window bays is still visible on its north side. The front facade's upper stories have kept their historic fenestrations, including a decorative front gabled dormer with a high-style Palladian window. There's a single front gabled dormer on the north elevation roof and 2 front gabled dormers on the south elevation roof. The rear of the home also features a front gabled dormer. The majority of the home's windows are double hung, 1/1 wood windows with exterior storms, with the exception of the 6/1 wood windows on the enclosed porch. The roof features a wide eave with exposed rafters, although the rafters appear to be either missing or covered on its north elevation. There is a stylized red brick chimney towards the rear of the home. On October 8, 2025, preservation planners found that the house at 11 Naples Road met the criteria for an initial determination of significance under criterion C and D. Additionally, 11 Naples Road retains integrity of location, design, setting, feeling, materials, and workmanship. So this initial slide shows the tax assessor's photograph and map with the property indicated. These are some aerials of the home. The photograph on the left is the front facade from the sidewalk, while the photograph on the right is the front facade as well as some of that north side elevation taken from across the road. Photograph on the left is the other side of the home with a little of the front elevation as well, taken from across the street. And the one on the right is a photograph of the rear of the home that was submitted by the applicant. And these are the atlases from 1900 and 1927 of the property. And that is all I have for that presentation.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Does the applicant wish to address the commission?
Not at this time, Madam Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who'd like to be heard on this case?
I do not see any hands raised or anything in the chat.
All right, commissioners?
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with the finding of significance by staff, despite this, what the building has suffered. There's enough original detail and volume and I think to warrant that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's kind of sad to see what's been done to the front facade, but that's something that could be restored. So I would agree with the staff's finding.
I do too.
Are there stock photos showing what either the front or the rear looked like?
Unfortunately, I could not find any. There are other examples of the form, so to speak, in the area, especially on that street. And so you could, the likelihood was that it also had a curved bay on the opposite side, just symmetrically. But there are not historic photos to confirm.
I agree with everybody.
All right. In that case, would someone like to make a motion?
I move we uphold the determination of significance for the house on Naples Road.
I'll second it.
Excuse me, we'll vote. I vote yes. David King,
Yes.
David Jack,
Yes.
Elton,
Yes.
and Brooke.
Yes.
All right, so the applicant can be in touch with the, with Mary Beth about next steps.
Will
Yes, I
do.
will be in
Thank you,
touch.
everybody.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have other business. The first item was struck. I do have one brief additional item, but I'll wait until after we discuss 5B. So, Mary Beth is going to give us a little background on, you know, what is a cultural landscape report and so forth. So take it away, Mary Beth.
Sure thing. I have a really brief presentation, just to give a little bit of context for those that may not have the agenda in front of them. We are discussing what is a cultural landscape report because we are looking to have a commissioner consult on a landscape report that's going to be happening for Lars Anderson Park. So I have a couple slides on what a cultural landscape report is. Can y'all see my slide? Okay. Yep. All right. So just to recap, this is a project by the Department of Public Works for the city of Brookline that's using CPA grant funding, and it's using the historic preservation funds, which is why we are involved. There was consultation from us preservation planners on putting together the RFP that has been published for this report. So the purpose of the report for Lars Anderson is to mainly consolidate the existing reports on Lars Anderson, of which there are many, and to have a consultant analyze them and place them all together in one comprehensive document, as well as highlighting and updating the park's historic narrative, surveying its current conditions, and prescribing best practices and preservation methods for its historic features, as well as the final product, really helping to recommend treatment strategies as the town of Brookline looks to modernize the park in both its function and current usage. So what is a cultural landscape report? The National Park Service has a definition of a cultural landscape as a geographic area including both cultural and natural resources and the wildlife or domestic animals therein, associated with a historic event, activity, or person, or exhibiting other cultural or aesthetic values. Now, there are both tangible and intangible aspects that are considered, which in the context of the national park means physical places, as well as those intangible cultural values that you would place upon a place or a thing. The Park Service has identified 13 different specific landscape characteristics that make up the historic cultural landscape as well, which I have that list if you guys are interested in hearing it. But ultimately, the landscape report is meant to identify any of these in a cultural landscape, both tangibly and intangibly, and also relay what of the 13 characteristics, potentially all, a place exhibits. And then it's not uncommon for there to also be a treatment plan within a cultural landscape report that follows the Secretary of Interior standards. So let's see. I'll just add to this just as a brief background of some examples. This is a little bit newer in the field of historic preservation, the concept of a cultural landscape. It arose sort of in the early 90s, especially talking about Native American lands and properties and sites. And it has since gone beyond that to talk about places like Lars Anderson, or another really relevant example to this area would be anything designed by Olmsted, just to kind of give you an idea of what kind of historic site would qualify. As for the Lars Anderson Cultural Landscape Report, just for your edification, this is the timeline that DPW is looking at. The RFP went out on October 15th. They are setting the due date for any bids from contractors for November 13th. They are looking for the committee for this landscape report to shortlist and interview said candidates the week of November 17th. They would like to execute a contract to their chosen candidate December 3rd, with a project kickoff of December 15th, and final documentation and the final report being handed over in May of next year. So that is the little brief slideshow I have, just to give you guys some background and context on the cultural landscape report.
Thank you. I think that was very helpful. I knew what all the individual words meant, but I wasn't sure what they meant when you put them all together. Cultural landscape report. We all are aware that ARISA, is very interested in the Lars Anderson project. And she was not able to be with us tonight. She's visiting family in California. But I spoke to her on the phone on Friday, and she would be very happy and willing to serve as our, to be appointed by the commission for this committee. Would anyone else like to be considered?
Elizabeth, I was just going to say that you read my mind. So.
And I know that how much work she's put into
yes.
caring for, and I think she absolutely should be our person if she's willing to be or wants to be.
Yes, and she's very happy to serve in this capacity.
That's great.
Very good. Yeah, that's good.
I'd love to see the 13 aspects of the cultural.
You know what? Let's adjourn the meeting and
Can I bring up one thing? I guess I mentioned I was at a CPA meeting, and I was asked, does preservation care about landscapes? And they meant literally meadows or trees. And I said, I think we care personally, but it's not our business generally to care about landscape. And there's plenty of historic structure to care about in a place like Lars Anderson. So it does extend my answer, really. But I mean, I'm fascinated by the question. I've never heard this before, cultural landscape. and to even see the historic photos of what that mansion had been, and the artifacts that we're talking about preserving, you know, the bowling and the Italianate garden and the stables. I guess if the landscape report is a history of the transformation of that culture to today's culture, to some future imagined culture, that's just a mind-boggling piece of history. And I mean, I think it's great to have it. I think it's a luxury to have such a history written for you.
Yes. I think you know, we are empowered to do our work under 40C, which talks about settings, but does not empower us to range far afield into the meadows and lanes.
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's our the authority that we have. All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we appoint Arisa Boyd to serve as our representative on the selection committee and working group for the cultural landscape report for Lars Anderson. Do I have a second?
I'll second Elizabeth.
Then we'll vote. I vote yes. David King,
Yes.
David Jack,
Yes.
Elton,
Yes.
and Brooke.
Yes.
And so Arisa just asked that she be, you know, apprised of the upcoming dates and so forth.
I'll get her in touch with the rest of the committee.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we can
Alright.
do that, no problem. And just to throw in there, I just threw in the group chat the list of the 13 if anybody
Oh,
would like
thank
to
you.
look at it. No need to discuss, but you can read it there.
Well, actually, would you mind sending that in an email?
Sure, yeah, no
Because
problem.
I think probably everyone would like to look at it, but I did receive some feedback from Tina on her. David and I took her out to lunch, and I asked her if she had any feedback for the commission, and she said, the evening meetings need to be shorter. We need to respect that staff has put in a full day of work, and we need to just be mindful of that, which I think is an excellent point. So I share that with the rest of you. So there was one other item I wanted to tell you about because I'm the person on the naming committee, the representative from the Preservation Commission. That's a 3-year term. When my term is up, I'm going to ask someone else to take my place, but I'll serve out that. I think I'm in my second or third year of that. I try to bring things to the commission before they're voted on by the naming committee, but this one got ahead of me because I was ill in September and wasn't able to attend the September meeting. So there was in the Warren Athletic Field, just the baseball diamond was it was proposed that Joe Campagna, who was a baseball coach for many decades and actually wrote for local papers and so forth, articles on baseball, that just the baseball diamond be named for him. It was reviewed by the advisory committee, for an advisory subcommittee, and they unanimously voted in favor. Members of that committee and members of the public were there for the public hearing, and everyone was in favor of it. So I did go ahead and vote in favor of it. If I had thought there was anything controversial, I would have abstained, but that was my judgment call. So that happened. And I'm just telling you guys.
That's good. Good reporting.
All right, let's see, when's our next meeting?
I think we're back on track for the month of December. So the second Tuesday, I believe that is December 9th.
Okay.
Hopefully folks are around.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And Shall we adjourn?
I just say thank you to David and to you, Elizabeth, for taking Tina out for lunch.
It was our pleasure.
And I thank Rebecca and Mary Beth for doing the first Tina absent meeting.
Here, here.
It was
Yeah, no
fun-
technical
wow.
difficulties. We made it
No.
through.
Yeah.
It's very
Seamless.
smooth.
Seamless. All right.
And
Well, then,
we do have one more meeting before December 9th. I just remembered we have the CPA project review meeting on the 20th of November in the morning meeting,
okay.
but not a hearing, just a meeting.
Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
sorry.
Thank you.
I will-
No, that's good. All right. All right. Well, let's adjourn. And 8:26, yay. Better than 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Better.
Have a good night, everyone.
Night.
Thank
Good night.